do maneuvers that break the barrier of sound, like you said, but without sound. Wow. They're dropping hundreds of thousands of feet down to ocean level and going back up and making maneuvers and turns that we can't do, humans can't do, right? So I'm thrilled about it. I like this stuff. I hope they come out with some more stuff.
A reported meteor lit up the sky across the East Coast this morning just after midnight. This video is in from Julie in Cheektowaga, who caught a streak of light on her doorbell camera.
Frankly, there are a lot more sightings than have been made public. Some of those have been declassified. When we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery that, frankly, engage in actions that are difficult to explain.
Okay, so back in December, the Pentagon was given 180 days to release a detailed report containing evidence of UFO sightings by the military.
Now, the report's due to come out by June 1st. I don't know, Erica, what do you think? This could be big news, right?
It could be big news.
Movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for, or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without a sonic boom. So, in short, things that we are observing that are difficult to explain.
I like how the moment that we, quote, as humankind, quote, discover something, then all of a sudden it's their time to start. Whoever this is, whatever they're doing, they've been there and been doing it. So whatever their plan is going to happen with or without us. Just because we hip to the clip now doesn't mean that something's about to start.
There have been sightings all over the world, and when we talk about sightings, the other thing I will tell you is it's not just a pilot or just a satellite or some intelligence collection. Usually we have multiple sensors that are picking up these things, and so, again, some of this are just they're unexplained phenomena.
I'm sure you've got the top physics experts in the world working on this. Can they come up with any explanation?
You know, I think as we begin to look at this, we're beginning to realize that a lot of this really isn't breaking the laws of physics. What it's doing is really breaking our understanding of the current laws of physics that we are looking at. In essence, these things, if you look at quantum physics, there's a lot of modeling right now that suggests that a lot of this performance can be explained if you have a really deep understanding of quantum physics.
First, I wanted you to kind of give an overview of what is the nature of this big announcement that we woke up to. 99% confidence level detection of potential signature for new physics.
The Large Hadron Collider is the largest experiment in human history, and it's a 27-kilometer circular tunnel that's 100 meters underground on the border of France and Switzerland. And in this thing we refer to as the Standard Model of Particle Physics. Because this thing came together, it's arguably the most successful intellectual achievement of humankind, because it makes these wonderful, precise predictions as to how the world should behave at the smallest possible levels that basically all come true. It's like completely mind-blowing how great this thing is. And so this is the way it actually came together over the history of the 20th century, and it culminated in this thing that we now refer to as the Standard Model of Particle Physics. But if you look into the details of the Standard Model, a lot of the stuff that's there that's fascinating and that corresponds to sort of makes these predictions and then it corresponds to these measurements that we make, it's just sort of there. It's like there's no real sort of reason for why some of the values of the Standard Model the way they are, and some of the predictions that makes, and some of the ways that it's organized, some of the things just happen to be the way they are. This is the part where, to me, it's like it starts to butt into our understanding as sort of like humans with what our intuition is. It's like, oh yeah, of course nature should be symmetrical about some kind of thing. But it turns out it's not. There are certain things in Standard Model that you might think, if you were just sort of, by first principles, I'm going to design an elegant universe. This should be a symmetry of nature. And it just turns out that our universe just chooses not to have this particular symmetry. There's these symmetries that you should, in principle, they could be there, And it's not up to us to choose whether nature observes or violates these symmetries. We just have to go in search for.
A dormant volcano in Iceland has come back to life for the first time in nearly 800 years.
The huge power of nature behind the Icelandic volcano looks to be subsiding slightly, and now it is a bit safer. This great spectacle of nature is drawing dozens of sightseers from Reykjavik 20 miles away, and this is what they can see right now. The eruption is the first in the area for almost 800 years.
The night sky lit up near the capital Reykjavik late on Friday. The eruption came after thousands of small earthquakes in the region in recent weeks.
A glow from the lava could be seen from the country's capital Reykjavik, 20 miles away. Scientists have been anticipating an eruption in the area after more than 40,000 mini-earthquakes in the last month.
It is a spectacle of the natural world that is both beautiful and deadly. But this volcanic eruption at Geldingadalur has attracted big crowds. It's a tiny volcano by Icelandic standards, but close enough to Reykjavik to tempt hundreds to make a day trip.
The small village of Grindavik is just a few kilometers away. For weeks now, they have been affected by near constant earthquakes and tremors, warning of the upcoming eruption.
The earth shook well outside, and when I came in with the luggage, the kitchen island was on its side, and various things had come out of the cupboard.
Regions underwater, and many people at breaking point. Days of torrential rain have turned parts of eastern Australia into an inland sea, ruining homes and destroying livelihoods. Several areas have been declared disaster zones.
Torrential downpours have turned roads into rivers and fields into lakes. Homes have been swamped.
The Australian government has declared a natural disaster in large parts of New South Wales after the worst flooding in decades. Towns and cities across the region have been hit by record-breaking rainfall, which has led to riverbanks bursting.
The flash flooding that's hit parts of Australia's most populous state, New South Wales, is being labelled as a 1-in-100-year event.
Again, this afternoon was just unprecedented across northern Alabama. We really feared for our lives there.
In Alabama, the outbreak deadly.
This is a violent tornado. Debris fall.
This was one of the most unusual cases I have ever seen, and I began tracking that storm this afternoon in Alabama at around 1:30. And we were still tracking it at 4:30 in the afternoon. This tornado was producing winds of at least 150 miles per hour and was on the ground for 150 miles. And a given afternoon, you might see a tornado warning last for maybe 15, 20 minutes. This was 3 hours of a tornado warning. This tornado was on the ground from Birmingham, Alabama, into the northwestern part of Georgia, where it did considerable damage.
Those deadly tornadoes touching down across the South, 17 reported in Alabama alone.
Authorities are warning of a dangerous night ahead. The scene left behind in Birmingham already devastating.
Where you have these vehicles with no wings, no control surfaces, no engines, and yet somehow they're able to fly and frankly outperform some of the very best aircraft that we have in our inventory.
Unbelievable stuff. So, when people say, "Oh, you're in that business," how do you explain these UFOs?
The information is very compelling. It's real.
Yeah. Okay, it's real. Are they from another planet?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. The three options are, or the third option is that it's something completely different. If it's not ours and it's not theirs, well, then it's someone or something else.
I can't wait for this report to come out.
The largest asteroid to pass by Earth this year has reached its closest point, giving astronomers an opportunity to observe a space rock that formed at the dawn of the sun.
Well, on a really clear night, sometimes you can see a little bit more than the stars. This time lapse off the coast of Rhode Island shows the Milky Way galaxy rising over the Atlantic. How cool. I'm going to be totally upfront. I would have not even noticed. I would have been like, wow, look at that. But Very cool.
I gotta say, Rhode Island, you never look so good, right?
Yeah.
It took 2 cameras, a lot of coffee to capture this footage from 2 a.m. to sunrise. And you see the boats as well. That is just really, really spectacular. Well done, Mike. Good job on the time lapse. We all need like a time lapse lesson from this guy. Fantastic.
Seriously. And here my mom used to say nothing good happens after 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's very similar to something that happened last month. There were sightings of another fireball, and it does not mean that there's more. It just means that there just happened to be 2 of them. So it can happen. It's nothing to be alarmed about. It's nothing to be scared of.
Well, Collins suspects the meteor entered Earth's atmosphere somewhere in Ontario and traveled south across New York, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Where it landed is anyone's guess, but the Atlantic Ocean is a pretty big target.